All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope this video finds you well. This has been a pretty fun, pretty cool, interesting topic that I want to go into, and it's a topic of what is turn versus what is moving the shoulders around the spine. So how do we use the shoulders to create a certain movement versus rotating the entire spine to move the shoulders. So before we do that, if you haven't checked out the last video that I did, please click on that link down below. Would love to have you check that out. Also got a free crash course on understanding impact. Would love to have you a part of that. And let's go ahead and let's get right into it. So I think one of the big topics, big discussions, even in the golf world in general, and some of the things that I've been dealing with here teaching golf lessons at Turnberry is what do we call rotation, and what is the difference in rotating or turning? How are the shoulders actually supposed to function? And really what sets us up to be in the best position to really strike the golf ball solidly. So one of the things that I notice, this is something that I've struggled with, it's something that I see a lot of players struggle with, is when we actually start to go into, if you think about it like this, if you were my camera back here and you said turn, I would do this. So if we looked at this from here, if I went turn and I rotated everything towards this camera, you'd be able to see from face on, this is moving the shoulders. But are the shoulders actually moving right here? No, the shoulders are not moving. I've got my arms fixated to my side holding this club, and I'm turning. So this would be turning right in here. This is what I would consider turning, and this is what I think a lot of players who struggle with width and struggle to actually create support of the golf club and proper arm structure, I think this is one of the things that we actually struggle with right here. So again, turning of the spine, if I took this golf club here and I connected it to where my spine would enter the pelvis here, and I went here and I keep my arms against my side here and I hold this club and I turn. Well, this would be what turn, or what we would consider spine rotation is. So this is taking my two center points, the center points of my shoulders and the center points of my hips, and this is turning from this point. And so what I see, there's a few different issues that I see people struggle with here. They bring the club in and low, and then from here, if we look at this, it doesn't make a lot of sense to create width from here because there's no up in the actual golf club here. And the shoulders are now moving. The shoulders are now parallel to what the ground is, plus I have all my mass stuck on my right side. So what we see out of this type of a player is we see turn, then we see lift, because something's going to move back towards the center of us to create leverage here. And then either A, we go into another turn, which changes the direction of the golf club, sometimes steep, sometimes over the top, or we see this player get pressure back forward, and now we're stuck too far from the inside. Now we're throwing way too much inward to outward movement of the golf club here because of how we're actually turning or rotating. So when you look at this, this is probably one of the more fascinating things that I've learned as an instructor that I like to teach to players that I coach, members of my community, members or people that I teach here in person, is how do we actually get the shoulders to operate? So when we look at what the shoulders can do, I'm going to start with the trail side here. Okay, this would be what we would call adduction. So I'm not changing my spine right here. My spine's staying here and I'm moving the shoulder forward. So this would be adduction. This is neutral, and this would be abduction. So abduction, okay? AD is towards midline. Abduction is away from midline. A cool way. So this is one of the things I've chatted with Andy Plummer about before, is we actually can code these types of things. So I think coding anatomical terminology can also make it more simplistic for players to comprehend anatomical movements. So anything towards midline, we would call 1. Anything away from midline, this would be neutral is 2. Abduction, AB, would be 3. So this is 1, 2, 3. So if I'm right in here and I'm in my posture, and I take my trail shoulder from 1, 2, 3, this is starting to get this shoulder here to work more around my spine. So this is a shoulder movement. And then what I have access to with my lead side starting here, working into adduction, AD, or we would call this 1, moving from 2 to 1. So when this goes to 1, this now goes to 3. We can see how that is actually starting to move the shoulders more around the spine. So this is our spine inclination right here. Shoulder in, shoulder around. So we're going 1 with the lead, 3 with the trail. We can see the shoulders are now working around my spine. So a really good place for you to start with this is if you look at the ties here on my hoodie. If I hold these, I am not moving my chin and these together. This would be back to turning here. What we're going to do is we're going to move either the placard on our shirt, the zipper on our jacket, the ties on our hoodie. We're going to move those away from where our chin is. So if you've seen that video that I did where I put that clothing pin clip on the hat, that clothing pin clip would stay here, or my eyes and my chin would stay here, and the shoulders would start to work around this. So now this is working at a right angle to what my spine is. That's working at a right angle to what my spine is right there, okay? So this would be the very first place in comprehending how we actually start to get the shoulders to move around the spine versus taking the entire spine and turning. Then we have access to retraction with abduction. Retraction with abduction. This is going into adduction, and this is how we can get the shoulders here to move around the spine. So a cool way of actually feeling this, and then we're going to go into a drill that we could use on both sides of the arc, is what I'll do is I'll stand here, I'll hold a golf club like this, I'm going to keep my chin here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work the shoulders and the arms as far around my body as possible while I keep my spine right here centered. So the spine staying in the same place, staying in the same inclination, and all we're doing is we're taking the shoulders around the spine, back down here, and around the spine. This right here, I would say, is a very, very, very important skill set for us in comprehending, 1, comprehending, and 2, being able to implement this movement into our actual golf swing right here. So moving the shoulders around the spine. So we take the club, shoulders around, back to here, shoulders around. So you can see how much rotation, turn, I'm going to call it adduction and abduction, retraction and protraction of the shoulders, how much that moves around the spine there. So that would be the very first place that I would start in comprehending how the shoulders actually move. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to pause this for 1 second and we're going to grab a drill. I'm going to show you how to set up a drill that you could actually work on this when you're videoing yourself, practicing, etc. Okay, so the drill that we're going to do is we're going to do a towel drill. I know there's a lot of coaches out there that use this. I've seen a lot of really good players use this drill. But what we're going to use this for is the proper amount of adduction, abduction, and retraction and protraction. So protraction being this, retraction being that, adduction is moving towards midline, abduction is moving away from midline or around us right there, okay? So what you'll do is you'll take a towel, one that is long enough that you can firmly fit underneath your armpits right here. Okay, so if we went right in here and I did this demonstration again, you can see the towel here is moving because of how I am turning my spine. This is turning my spine right here. So this would be rotation, okay? What we're going to do, or what I would recommend feeling here, is keep the spine, keep the ground stable, and what I want you to do is I want you to move the towel as far as you can, keeping the eyes neutral and the chin here. So that would be here, back down, and through. How far can you actually get this movement? Because then we can continue to go with the rib cage. We can extend the leg. And this is what starts to build out more of our turn here, staying on center. And it also allows us to keep the eyes more fixated, parallel to the ground longer, which I think can help us out quite a bit in regards to contact. So where I would start here is we'd start with half shots, shoulders, shoulders. And just feeling what it's like to keep the towel moving around our spine, not turning. This would be stopping the towel and hitting, so you can see the towel hasn't moved. So if you imagined if there was basically a circle right here on the center of this, how far can I get it back to that camera, and then getting it around to the target around our spine, which is going to feel like it stays in this fixated point right here. So we would go here, around, around. I would start off, do a couple easy ones like this, just doing some half ones, around and around, and just getting the feel of how our shoulders would work right there. Then we can start to move that into 3/4 length, and we can move it into what our fuller speeds would be right there. And this is a way to really, I would say, really heighten what your feel is of how we're getting the shoulders to actually move around the spine versus taking the spine and just rotating it. And then we turn into arm lifting, throwing. There's a number of different things that we can see that happen from this. So this is one of my favorite drills. There would be my reasons why. If you have any questions whatsoever on this, please, please, please leave those in the comments down below. I'll get back to each and every one of you. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.